Hey, welcome to Picking Daisies, the podcast where we dive into all things messy, beautiful, and a little bit chaotic. I'm Mary Hendricks, your hot mess of a host, ready to walk with you through every laughable, cry-worthy, and grow-worthy moment. Every Tuesday, join me and an incredible lineup of fellow moms, women, and experts as they share their own stories of growth, resilience, and silver linings that they've uncovered. Together, we're building a village, a reminder that even in the thick of it, you are truly never alone. Because let's be real, we all have our mess. Everyone's got those moments. But here, we are finding the beauty in it, also the humor, and growing from whatever life and motherhood may bring our way. Welcome to Picking Daisies. All right. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jordan.
Hi, great to be here.
I'm excited. Okay. So Jordan is going to be just an amazing guest, I think, for everyone to hear about, whether this is going to be a great episode for moms. It's going to be a great episode for women, but in general, this is just going to be a great episode to hopefully inspire everyone to use what Jordan has created. And I'm really excited. So before we get into it, Jordan, say hi and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. My name's Jordan Arrighetti. I am a mom of 3 little kiddos, 6, 4, and 2. And I am the proud CEO and co-founder of Support Now, a free platform that helps families and communities come together during major life moments, whether that's a kid in the NICU, hospitalization, loss, pregnancy, house fires. It's an all-in-one solution designed to reduce overwhelm through raising money, organizing meals, coordinating volunteers, and sending updates.
Awesome. And then you yourself are a mom, correct?
That's right. I'm a mom of 3 little ones. So I joke all the time. Support Now is really my 4th child. But my of all the things that are hard in my life, being a mom is absolutely the hardest.
I believe that right now. Your kids are similar in age to mine, right? Didn't we say that?
Yeah. I mean, my kids, right. My oldest is in kindergarten. Kindergarten, pre-K, and then I still have one in daycare.
Yep. Yeah. So we're similar. We're just like a little. You're a year down for me a little bit, but yeah. These are the years. The years. That's all I can say. I'm entering a new zone of it because now my youngest is she's almost 3. So we're starting to get out of the little years, and it's such a breath of relief, but also it's still so much. Oh my gosh, because you get a little taste of I don't know, light, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, you can slightly see it, and then it's just a whole different ebb and flow. It's a whole different part.
Yeah, I to be honest, I already feel like it's getting, quote, easier. I need sleep, and so for me, just getting my sleep back has already changed my experience with my kids because I'm just not so tired. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that I'm not exhausted by the end of the day. I certainly am. And I know that new hard will arise. For me, I'm the type of mom that, for me, it gets better. I don't miss the newborn stage at all. For me, I connect with my kids as they get older, as they communicate more. That's where I thrive. And so, I feel like I'm already in it because they're sleeping. And for me, that's all I need them to do in order for me to cultivate.
I know that was a big thing for me. I think that's made the biggest difference. Obviously, school and having a little bit of a break and also just a routine. I think that was something that we really needed because the little kid years, when you're, if you're working your daycare, for me, I'm stay at home ish, but having no routine per se to keep us in schedule was that was very hard for me. So now I'm starting to be able to have that, and obviously I'm able to do stuff like this and whatnot. Right. So it's just I'm finding a little bit of myself again, which feels good.
I think,
but with Support Now, how?
Yeah, go. Sorry, I went one quick thing. Yeah. I think home moms are
you keep going.
My husband and I have this phrase in our house, TGIM, thank God it's Monday, because we are out the door as fast as we can to drop our kids off at daycare or school. First parents there. I live to get things done between, call it 8 and 2. And I just I think stay-at-home moms are amazing, or moms at homeschool. I mean, all moms are amazing, but just a different gear that I didn't have to kind of go into that gear. And I think it's amazing for anyone that can actually pull that off. Yes. Pulling it off. Pulling it off is a loose term. It's just if you can survive it, everyone hopefully makes it through and, put a couple of quarters in their therapy jar. It's fine. It's fine. We're all getting through it. But okay, with support now, how old is support now? Because you and your husband both did it together, right?
Yeah. My husband's a co-founder. The company launched a little over a year ago, about 14 months ago, September of 23. And so we've been in the market getting feedback for a while, but it's been great. We've got about 30,000 users, new people coming into the system every day to create what we call registries. Through the system, we've already raised over $2 million for families. So families that are raising money for a particular cause for themselves. So peer to peer. So we're early in our journey, but super optimistic about, the impact that we can have and the mission that we're on.
Yeah. Well, so for everyone listening, Jordan and I had connected because she had reached out to me, and being that they're brand new and, obviously I do the podcast, but obviously I have the Very Merry Life, and I have that over there where I share, and she had reached out and she, was kind of looking to kind of spread awareness, and I already knew what Support Now was. And that's why I obviously wanted to meet with you, because I was very curious to see. And, for anyone also listening, if you've been following like over on the Very Merry Life and things like that, you may remember that I did a fundraiser for a little girl with cancer. And that's how I found Support Now, because her mom is who had her own personal page through that. So I also gave like links for that if someone wanted to felt more comfortable donating via that way and things like that, because that's like the hard part about like doing fundraisers and stuff, is just like the legitimacy and knowing that like where you're donating your money to is actually going to do that. And then, for everyone listening too, and Jordan will speak to it, but I'm just going to tell you as like a user, as someone who like knew about the website prior, is that this is it is a website that's like GoFundMe. So you can think of GoFundMe, and you can think of, I know Meal Train. I've never been on like a website for Meal Train, so I don't really know what that looks like, but I've heard of it. But things like that, where think about, how you help out someone if there's a fundraiser, but think of someone in your community where, I don't know, let's say your neighbor next door breaks their femur and has to be in the hospital for 2 weeks, and they need help walking their dog, down the street. They can literally set that up and ask people in their community that they trust, who gets the link, to see if anyone can step up and do that, even if it's not something that they want money, but maybe if it is money, they can do that. And they collect everything's free for those that earn money, right? Like
That's right.
They collect 100% of it.
Yeah, you nailed it. So it's a combination. Like the simplest way to describe it to people is think of a GoFundMe, Meal Train, Caring Bridge, or like a Sign Up Genius, but all in one, but totally customizable, where families keep more of the money. So, like I mentioned, like I actually don't have a crazy experience with a major life moment. I've just been on the supporter side, where, like everyone, like you've been on the receiving end of the text message, the email, the phone call, that something's happened to someone you love and you want to take action. And I just found that the tools available were fragmented, and they just didn't like speak to who I feel is the modern mom that's like oftentimes playing this supporter role. So we thought, well, could we combine the functionality of these tools, but do so in a way that's more empathetic, compassionate, and really just make support almost like fun again, like make support like a greater part of what we do. I believe that supporters very much, they want to support, but we've been really, I guess the word would be like, we've been molded over the last like decade or so to think of it as just money or just meals. And that's not what support is. That's never what it was. So I think that using technology to like remind people that there are gifts that you can give someone that may be dog related, maybe prayer, maybe visitation, maybe, again, mowing the lawn or getting the mail. All of those things count in a support journey. We just have to facilitate that through technology.
Yeah, no. And that's what I love with it. And I, especially because this cat right now, it's like I built this entire space down in the basement, which is like his domain. If you're not watching, my cat is down here, and people usually don't know I have a cat. I sometimes forget he exists too. So, because you bite me, get out of here. The thing that I know when we had chatted, you'd said you really thought about
the mom in mind. So how did this all come to fruition? Did you think about this? Did you have an experience that made you want to like put this all together? What was the like moment for you as a mom too? Like that, obviously this came upon you as you were, in your early journey of motherhood.
Yeah. So I've been very blessed. I haven't had anything like tragically happen to me. That said, COVID was an eye opener for everybody. I think everyone spent a lot of time in reflection, thinking about, you know, purpose and intentionality and what we wanted to be when we grew up. We just had a lot of time to think. I personally brought home my second child March 30th, 2020. So it was a miserable time to bring home a newborn with an 18-month-old already at home. It was really, really hard. And I think that was my first moment where I realized how much I missed my village. I couldn't hug my mom. I couldn't use the resources around me, like whether that be friends coming over to visit me, maybe people would drop off meals here or there, but it was a completely different experience and one that I would never wish on somebody else.
Oh,
So
no. The pandemic was,
and postpartum is so hard. And then when you take away your community, it's even harder. And then you get lost. You can get easily lost in your thoughts. And so I will say that between my experience postpartum, as well as just honestly the sadness kind of around me and around the world during that time where things were just happening. People were being hospitalized. People were dying in isolation. I just kept coming back to this idea that as humans, we are designed to support one another, yet we are often so hesitant to take action. And so that was where my background is in sales and technology. And I've seen firsthand what can happen when you build a piece of technology that provides value. And so I thought, well, could we build something that provided value in a more meaningful way? And my husband also has experience in startups. So we just said, let's give this a shot. Let's build something. And that over time became the foundation for Support Now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think it's great. I think for everyone here listening, go check it out because again, this isn't like the big thing that I know when we had met prior, you had wanted to remind everyone of is that like this is not something that you only need to reserve for like the really devastating things that happen in your life. For like it literally could be as simple as having a new baby, or maybe like again, I don't know, something comes up. We all have life things happen, and maybe this is the easiest way where it's not as awkward because asking for help sucks. Like it really does. It's more of a mind, excuse my language, fuck, than I've ever anticipated it to be. Like that asking for help and accepting help. Like it's one step to ask for it. The next is like actually accepting it, because it's like, what does it mean that I'm asking for help? What does it mean that I needed it? Type of thing. You almost don't want it to like, I don't know. It's so goofy, but I think this is like the one step that moms can make that kind of takes that like awkwardness out, that hesitation, that makes it not feel as weird as it,
and so I think that's actually really important to sit in for a second. So I've studied this, and I've now had thousands of conversations with women just like us, and I've learned that asking and receiving help, it's actually like deeply rooted in shame. Like we've over time like developed this this perception that asking and receiving help is like a sign of weakness or shame. And so one of the goals that I have for Support Now isn't just to, facilitate all this great functionality. It's actually to like begin to knock down the walls that we as moms have built. Because of there's so many reasons why. It's like the way that we physically live. Like, we used to, as humans, we used to live, on top of each other. We used to live in villages. There were no doors, or the doors that you had were open. And like you literally raised children together. Like that was a thing.
Yeah.
And then of course, as civilization evolved, we bought homes and we lived in the suburbs and we live in cul-de-sacs, and like you just don't see each other the same way that we used to. And then of course you add in a global pandemic that certainly isolated people. Then you add in Instagram and social media, and with all the good that comes with it, there are some bad. And this perception that we created that we just need to have it all together. And that like, Mary or Jordan, they've got 3 kids. They're doing a podcast. they've figured it out. So it must be something I'm doing wrong. Clearly it's a me
No,
problem.
it's not. I have my mom upstairs because I can't afford childcare. So my mom, I asked her to come upstairs. She's sitting with my son, my youngest, for everyone. Let's just be transparent. My youngest is upstairs taking a nap. I planned this specifically so I can usually get this during a nap time because it's just far easier to not have to deal with it because they know I'm home. So if they realize that I'm actually downstairs, it probably just expect if you're listening, I'm going to get interrupted by someone at some point. And my computer and everything right now is set up on a cooler that we like to fill full of high noons during the summer when we are out with the kids to keep us sane. There we go.
I love it. But that's it. Like if we had more dialogue around like the ways that we actually like structure our days to make it happen, it becomes less of, wow, they've got all together and more of like, oh, wow, I guess I should think of someone to watch my kid. I think I should consider like, we just don't.
No, well, and even like for me, like I stopped the podcast. Like I paused my podcast for a year. So this is all part of the relaunch and things like that. But I stopped it because I didn't ask for help and I tried to do it all. There was a pride aspect, even just, there's also been this entire wave of like girl boss and mom boss and like multitasking moms and things like that, it's like a external company, like, I don't know if you do it when you bring groceries in, when you go grocery shopping, I try and put as many on my arms as possible and make it as freaking impossible for myself. And I'm grunting and like basically like cutting off blood circulation to get these damn groceries in. And I could have easily just gone out in multiple trips, but no, I had to prove to no one that I could do it. And that's what I was doing essentially, was trying to carry too many things, and you can't. It's impossible. So I put that on hold, and having to ask, like, my parents are great supporters of me, but for some reason I've always had like this drive to want to not need to rely on them for some reason. So I'm like asking my mom to come over. I'm like, can I trust on you for like 2 days a week so I can do this, because otherwise I will not be able to make it. I won't be able to do this. So if I don't have help, I can't do it. So I've had to get a little bit better at it.
And I think that visual that you laid out of like, I am the same way, by the way, of bringing in the groceries. It's like, it's not that you can't do it, but you know what's more likely to happen? Like you hurt yourself or something breaks and you're like, darn it, like, why didn't I just ask someone to help me bring it in? Or why didn't I? It's just like this pressure that we've created for ourselves as moms to just do it all and to do it all so well and to make it look so effortless. That's so dangerous. And there's already a lot of studies right now talking about the detriment of that on mom's mental health. And so, it's kind of like we built it and like, it's our job to like break it back down so that like we leave room for that vulnerability and we leave room to allow people to help each other, because again, that's what we're designed to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even, I was going to say, and now of course my brain just, I think, completely shut off. Oh, what I was going to say is, so like asking for help is like a big thing. Obviously that's impossible as it is. But I've learned two things. One, people don't know to offer help. People cannot read your mind. So people like know it's the right thing to do. But like you said, everyone kind of hesitates for whatever reason. I know there's like I minored in like psychology, but I know there's like a psychological reason where everyone calls fire, no one might move. Like everyone kind of assumes that the next person is going to be the one stepping up. So people kind of are awkward. I think with motherhood, especially if it is a mom asking for help or just in any situation, I think especially if it's a rough one, if it's a hard one that we may not be able to empathize with, or not empathize, understand. We can still empathize. We just are so confused as to like what that looks like and what that means and things like that. So, I think what I love about this is obviously like accepting that help is hard, but giving that help gets easier and more natural. I feel like we've kind of gotten this rhythm of people aren't as willing to give help because we aren't being reminded of what that feels like to be offered it. Like when I've been given help before, like sometimes I've had to do that, like even in a grocery store, like going back to the groceries. I remember years ago, I was in the grocery store and get what happened, but someone had asked if they could help me carry something to the store or like car to my door, or I'm sorry, the car. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And then I stopped myself and I was like, actually, yeah, do you mind? And it was so helpful because otherwise I knew I was going to be dragging whatever it was. And I thought about that and I was like, that makes me then want to go help someone else because that just felt so, it's like taking the weight off of it literally feels like that. It's like taking someone's weight and unburdening them. And that feeling of unburdening it's big. It's huge. I think people underestimate how much that can actually change someone's day. Even again, it doesn't have to be financial. It can all be something so tiny that can turn someone's day and or attitude around or anything. So
one something you hit on that I think is important to also talk about is, we often as supporters, we often wait to be told what someone needs. And you could be waiting a really long time if that's your approach. It's well studied that, especially in a moment of trauma. So if you're talking about, we see a lot of hospitalizations, NICU babies, loss, families that are experiencing something like that go through what's called decision fatigue, right? They don't know what they need. That does not mean they don't need anything. It just means that they can't yet articulate or even begin to process what those needs are. And which is why, I'm so passionate around, as supporters, as a community, you have to be proactive because not, again, I'm talking about more kind of more sadder major life moments. Of course, this happens on a broader scale, but in general, the more we understand what someone's experiencing and what that's like, because if anyone that's gone through a major life moment, they can tell you they don't even know their name. So when you're texting them or calling them with very, very well-intended, questions of how can I help or what can I do, they don't have the capacity to respond to you. They just don't.
Yeah.
And so the space that we've created with Support Now kind of honors both. It honors this idea that the family doesn't know what they need, but it also gives space to the supporters and to the community that loves them to show up in all the ways that matter. And it's that space in the middle that I get so excited about, because as people realize that all these gestures that add up, you get better and better at asking and accepting help over time. Because what you're responding to is the actions of your community, not the questions they're asking. The questions are too hard, no matter how basic they are. And so, again, it's at its core, Support Now facilitates all these things, but there's much larger thematics that fire me up, that get me excited. And it's, why talking to moms all day, it's my favorite thing in the world, because we're all going through it to some degree. And the more we can acknowledge it, label it, the sooner we can make changes towards not just helping one another, but helping ourselves.
Well, that's the biggest thing. That's why this podcast obviously is for women and stuff like that, but obviously it's motherhood driven. And I stopped for a little bit because I used to get, for a second, I think I was in kind of the pits of motherhood where you kind of are just, you don't want, I want to be a mom, obviously, but you just get so swallowed up in motherhood that you almost are can I please talk about anything else? And I had that for a brief period, but now that I'm getting that breath of air again, I want to, because I'm getting that breath of air that I want to now give to someone else. And I want to be able to give that piece of hope to someone down the line in some manner, or even not, maybe you're ahead of it. And I don't know, you just need some sort of grounding. I hope that this is it, because motherhood's a trip, man. It's wild. It's wild what it does. And it's crazy how it just brings up and makes you think things that you probably wouldn't have hesitated about before ever. It's insane. So
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm excited. Obviously for everyone listening, I'm going to have everything linked for Support Now in there. If you have someone in your life that goes through something, or if you yourself are going through something, or if you are having a baby, or maybe can people set it up for someone else?
Yes. That's the most common way we see registries being created. So just for some background, we call it a registry to kind of play off of the idea of a baby or wedding registry. The idea that there are needs that people want to fulfill. So more often than not, I say it's the maid of honor type. Right? It's the best friend, the neighbor, the colleague that's creating this on behalf of someone they love, who knows that people want to take action. So you absolutely do that. And it's not uncommon for people to create it for themselves. We see a lot of moms starting to build registries for healthy babies. Someone sent me an email the other day saying that they had their registry at their baby shower and people were signing up for slots to come over postpartum to just help around the house. So not money related, not food related, like literally doing the things that we all know we drown in, especially in the early weeks and months of a baby. So yes, the long answer to a short question is anyone can build it, and you can have multiple, we call them organizers. So it's not unusual to have maybe a couple best friends. Maybe someone lives locally and someone's the best friend that lives, across the country, but everyone wants to get involved. So you can have multiple organizers on a registry. That way, as needs change, the onus isn't on one particular person. It can be shared by a variety of people that love you and want to make sure that your needs are met.
See, I love that. And I love that for the idea. That's what I was going to say. Like, again, it doesn't have to be something tragic. Like, I think this isn't one of those things that it can be. But I mean, obviously, if you are having a baby or if you know someone that's having a baby, set one of these up for them or ask them if you can, because I think this is awesome. Like, I would have absolutely adored that, because especially especially if it's your first baby, you're going to be like a deer in headlights for a little bit, which is totally cool. It's fine. But it's nice to have people come in and accept it. Allow yourself. You literally have never been a mom before. I say that all the time. I don't know why there's like a shroud of like this. Again, we get this pride aspect, but like we get it in a way that we should have known. Like it should have been all of a sudden like knocked on the head and suddenly we're like bestowed with like this magical knowledge of like how to do this, and we don't. And I always say that I'm like, accept it, go with it, like act dumb. I actually, when I went and had my third baby, I told them, I said, because I would say to the nurses, I was like, yeah, it's my third. And they all kind of like, oh, well, you know what you're doing then. And I'm like, no, treat me like I'm stupid. I'm like, please, every baby is so different too. And I've said that every time. I'm like, I'm always a forever first time mom. Like I have 3 kids, but my first is always my first. So I'm going through brand new things with her every single day that I've never encountered. But also every kid is different. So I've never been a mom to either of them. And how I'm doing that is so different. And just let yourself be stupid in it. Literally be dumb. You're allowed to be. You've never done it before. We all start off not knowing anything. So go ask for help, or let people help you. It's okay. It's okay. It will come in time. It will come in time.
And it starts with our generation. And one of the things I'm so proud of is like as a millennial, we as a generation of women are already like kind of, I wouldn't say call it pushing boundaries, but we're pushing back on a lot of generalizations that existed before us. And examples of that, our generation, we talk about miscarriage and infertility. Our generation, we talk about mental health. And so part of what gets me so optimistic and excited about support now is I believe that we're the generation that can push back on this idea of asking and accepting help being a sign of weakness. Like we will be the women that say, wait, why am I saying no to this? What they're offering to come over and just like go clean my house or just kind of go through and reorganize and help me so I can actually rest. Like why am I so to that? Because I'm uncomfortable with the idea of them seeing my house messy, or that I'm uncomfortable with the idea of them seeing me, not like perfectly manicured. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's possible. But it starts with the belief that like, you have to agree that there's a problem. And then once you accept that there's a problem, it's truly like finding those 3 to 5 to 6, sometimes a dozen friends that are like, no, this brings me joy. This brings me joy to be able to do this, because these are the things that looking back, I wish I would have done for somebody, or someone would have done for me.
Oh yeah. That's my biggest thing. It's like, I'm always looking at like, I've met someone recently who only has 2 little ones. So she has, I think, I feel like the dynamic said she was very close to what you had said, 18 months between your first 2. And she was very similar, and I met her, but I have 3, and there's mom of 3 energy is far different than any mom of 2 or mom of 1. It's way different. Everyone in their life should have a mom of 3 plus. Like, just get someone with at least 3 kids in your friend circle to help you feel normal in the chaos, because that was like the biggest thing for like 1 to 2 was the chaos was new for me. Like obviously 1 was chaotic, but I was okay with that. It was exciting still, but the 2 freaking rocked my world, and the same thing during the pandemic. But that mom of three energy, but it's because I'm better for it though, because like I said, I've learned how to pick my battles, and including that is picking what I need help with, like, and accepting that I can't do it all. And if I need something, if it's a battle that I need to pick, if it's not possible to do on my own, I need to ask someone to do it. So that's like, I've gotten so much better at that. And I say that constantly. I'm a better mom of three now than I ever was of one or two. Like I was good then, but I'm even better now. And that
totally. You just
I'm happier.
You literally cannot do it all. Like it's just impossible. Yeah.
No,
it's just impossible. And I always wanted to be a mom of three, at least three. I think we're done. My husband would say we're done. I'm like, oh, are we done?
You sound like me. You sound like me. You never know.
I'm like, not for me. It's hard to say I'm done, because I know it's a chapter that you can't get back, and that makes me sad.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've been so inspired. Even like, again, you can learn a lot through being a mom. Certainly, a mom of multiple, and I'm constantly like, I try to put myself, when it comes to sport now, kind of at the center of it, in the sense of like, all right, be honest with yourself. Would you accept this help? Would you like what trepidation would you have? And like, so we're constantly trying to build the product in a way that's authentic to real moms, because I'm a real mom that struggles with that exact same thing. I'm not perfect at accepting help, but I know that like there are slowly but surely ways that we can kind of erode that wall that we've created so that we let more people in. Because a phrase I hear all the time from our customers is, I didn't realize what a blessing it was to let other people bless me. I hear it all the time, like literally every day. And it's heartwarming, and it's true, because just like the example you gave of someone who just offered to, carry some of your bags to the car. It's just we're not designed to carry the full load all the time.
No,
it's not.
No, definitely not. But at some point you will fall. It will crash. Something will happen of some sort. My lighting is acting all crazy right now. Can you get? Oh, that's why. I don't know. Is it all lighting on your end? Can you tell there's like a little?
No, I can't.
Light.
You're good.
No? Oh, I can see it on mine. I'm just realizing it's the window behind me. It's like the sun's coming through right now and like hitting that. But
I'm not picking up on
crazy. No, good. All right. Well, there we go. This is technically the first episode of that I'm recording. So I don't know when we'll air it. I'll let you know once we get closer and I'm like planning out everything. But this is the first recording. This has been an experience.
Well, good. We learned about the
right.
We're good.
We're good. We're all good. We have to feel it out.
Now you need to yell at one of your kids about someone breaking a mic.
I know. Oh, this is why I have two of them. Actually, I have three. I've all of these sitting around the house, because this one's a cheap one too, but I want to get an expensive one. But this area I set up is in part of my basement that the kids can get to. And I just told my husband, I was like, I'm keeping this as like low budget as possible until I can like actually tell them to keep. It's my youngest, my 3-year-old. She's like,
well, the 3-year-old
or my almost 3-year-old.
Yeah,
she's not even 3 yet. So I'm giving her time. She's almost 3, which is a different beast. Different beast.
3 is my dreaded age, if I'm being blunt.
Ooh, yeah. 3 is hard. I know. She's crossing over the dark side a little bit. Of course. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, Mama, that is a wrap on today's episode of Picking Daisies. I hope today's chat left you feeling seen, understood, and maybe even gave you a good laugh along the way. As we all know, motherhood isn't easy, life isn't easy, but it's moments like these where we can connect and share our stories that really help make that load feel a lot lighter. So if you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world to me if you could take a moment to leave a rating and review. Your feedback not only will help this show grow, but also it will make sure it reaches other moms who might need that same dose of honesty, humor, and heart. And don't forget, if something in today's episode resonated with you, share it with a friend or hop on over to Instagram or wherever you connect on social media and keep the conversation going. I love hearing your stories and being a part of this journey with you. Thank you for being here and for showing up for yourself. And then, of course, sharing that space with me. So until next time, remember, we all grow through what we go through. You've got this, Mama. I'll see you next week.